Good evening, everyone, and welcome to Table Talk with Pastor Lynne and friends. As you see, we are a little light today. Howsoever, we are still going to carry on with our conversation. We are so excited that we have a guest here with us today. But before we go into that, this is what I want you to do. If you are viewing from YouTube, we want you to press that like button. Share, subscribe, and hit that bell so that you will be notified when we come on. If you are viewing on Facebook, we want you to like. We want you to share. But we also want you to invite others to be a part of this conversation. We want you to be a part of what we're going to talk about. So it's not a conversation with just us. It's also a conversation when you are involved in our conversation. So we want to hear your suggestions, your thoughts, your comments, whatever it is. We invite you to be a part of this conversation. Again, I am Pastor Lynne, and this is our guest.
My name is Christina.
And we are so excited about having Christina here with us today. Again, you may notice that our friends are gone. My sisters are not here, but they are doing some self-care, and we are so excited that they are taking time out for themselves. So shout out to all of my sisters that are not here. Y'all know I miss you. Enjoy your time. So let's get to it. This is what we're going to do. We have our trusty bowl. And in our bowl, we have conversations. We are going to pull a conversation, and the conversation that we pull will be our topic of conversation on this evening. Okay. So this is what I'm going to do. I'm going to put my guest on the spot, right?
Of course.
And I'm going to let her pull the topic. So if it's real heavy, y'all can blame her, okay? Okay, go ahead and pull one.
All
you
right.
Can't look.
I can't look?
No, you can't look.
Okay. We'll go with this one. Okay. Oh, domestic abuse and violence.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, very. Yeah, that's a topic.
Oh, wow. Okay. All right. Domestic abuse and violence. All right.
Wow.
So we do know that is a serious issue.
Yes.
That we are facing today in our society. You want to say something different, but you can't, right?
Right. It's like, where do you start with that? Yeah.
Because it is real. It is definitely real that women are experiencing, not just women, but men are experiencing sexual and physical and domestic violence as well.
I would say verbal abuse is very important as well, or out there as well. I don't think that gets brought up enough, but verbal abuse is just as bad as physical.
I agree. I totally agree. Verbal abuse, I think it stays with you a little bit more because it's more emotional than physical. Because at least with physical, you can kind of hide it after a while, right? Yeah. But verbal abuse, you cannot, because it stays, you're emotionally scarred. Yes. So you're right. It definitely is something that we need to consider as well. Listen, we want to hear from you guys. Tell us what you think. What are your thoughts on this subject as we talk about domestic abuse and violence, as we look at how we treat domestic abuse, I would say, and how we ignore it, right? We ignore it, and society ignores it, but we as women, we sometimes think that that's what love looks like because that's what we've seen or we've been taught, or sometimes we just don't know how to get out, right? We just don't know what to do. So let's talk about that. Let's talk about domestic abuse. What do you think? What are your thoughts on that? I know was talking to a young lady who was in a relationship, and she didn't grow up in domestic violence.
Okay.
She didn't grow up in domestic violence, but she did grow up without a father.
Mm.
And for her, it almost seemed as if this was a source of love because she didn't know what a father's love looked like. Yeah. So when you hit me and tell me you love me, if I don't know what a man's love looks like, then that could pretty much be love, right?
Exactly.
Tell me, what are your thoughts?
Well, my thoughts are, I have actually dealt with that myself, verbal and physical, and in my healing process, I realized I think of having a father or not having one in your life plays a really big role in that. For me, even though I did go through that and I did have my father in my life, as the healing process, I got to recognize that, hey, I had a dad and I didn't see this. This is not cool. It's not okay. And I just, ways to get out. You have to get out. It's not love. I advise, tell someone, get help, your earliest chance you can. You know, it's that's just not love.
How did you then, Christina, since you have experienced it, how did you get out? What steps did you take to get out of that?
Well, fortunately, the last relationship that I had that in the abuse, just so happened he had hit me that last time, and I was just that angry and upset that my face, this side of my face was just huge. The police were called, and by the time, I just have to be honest, by the time the police got there, they were saying they were gonna arrest me because I was literally drunk setting on fire. So I'm very thankful for that. When I see other people going through that, I can relate. And I went through the steps, going to court. You know, he was really like a stalker. Like at work, he followed me. There was a time where I literally had to jump out of the truck, the vehicle with him. I just jumped out the truck. He stopped at the stoplight. I just jumped out the truck. I had to run in the liquor store. Please, somebody, please call the police, please. I went through the court system. I had a restraining order. I was out one night. Those gentlemen, those men, they don't care about my piece of paper. So when we went to court, the judge knew, and he actually let him out. We actually had to go in the judge's chambers because the lawyers had gotten so heated in the courtroom. Judge took us to the chambers, and by the time we left, the police officer told me, he said, hey, I'm not telling you what to do, but yeah, protect yourself. He said, because I'm tired of locking these men up and the judges are letting them out. So I'm very, very thankful that God pulled me out of that. That's all I can give that to. Because some people aren't as fortunate. Some women get killed. And the police will tell you, oh, we can't do anything until something happens. So that doesn't make any sense to me.
Yeah.
It just didn't make any sense to me. And I actually just told the judge, I said, you know what, don't even worry about it. Because if he comes for me again, I just might be getting arrested because you guys are not doing anything.
It's really sad that someone has to get hurt for help to arrive.
Mm-hmm.
Like, my life is just not important enough for you to be proactive, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like you want to be reactive. Right. So after something happens, now you want to respond.
Right.
But why not have a system that is proactive when it comes to domestic violence? And I tell you, the thing that caught me off guard about domestic violence is when I found out, I really came to a realization that men are being abused. Like,
and women do it.
Yeah, I just never in a million
and there's women
years
yes.
would that have ever been a thought in my mind. And I remember one time seeing a girl slap her man. I don't know if it was her husband or boyfriend. And I remember saying, And I feel so bad. I remember saying, "Oh my God, he's such a punk." like, why he let her do
Why
that?
you let her
Don't
do
let
that?
her do
Right.
that. Do you hit her back? But
Right.
you know, someone was. Then that's when someone was explaining. Well, you do know that men get abused too.
Mm-hmm.
And there are some aggressive women out there who really aggressively handle their passive, loud, and meek man. And I just did not know. I just never would have dawned on me
Right.
that that would even be possible.
And I think the system has a lot to do with it too, as well, because like I said, I went through the steps. I reported it. I went through the system, getting the restraining order. I mean, I think the system plays a lot with that, because it's like men get raped. They have been raped, but they don't believe it because the person might be smaller than them. People's assumption is, oh, that's a man. He couldn't get, but it happens.
It does.
It does, and that's something else that, you know, people like, yeah, right.
Yeah, and I think there should be more advocacy for men. Like men should be people representing the men who are experiencing this type of treatment as well. Wow, I tell you, you just read about it all the time, and being one who works and sometimes has to be an advocate for domestic violence, it's heart-wrenching to see the women feel like they have no other recourse but to go back. I was just always really mean. So.
Yeah, you know, and that's why I was like, Christina, how are you letting you tend to blame yourself? And because I'm like, I feel like I'm pretty, you know, I don't think, yeah. But it even happened to me. And for a while, I was afraid. And I just was like, you know what? I'm not doing that. I just refused. You know, I'm getting you back. I just, you know, but I didn't want that life. You know, and I'm just, like I said, I'm just really thankful when I see people and women going through that. I do what I can to help or, you know, encourage. But it's never okay. Any form of abuse is not okay by anyone.
By anyone. At all. I was never in a domestic violence where I was hit, but I was in a relationship where I was emotionally abused. And I remember thinking it's not abuse. Yeah. Because he's not putting his hands on me, right?
And that's the misconception people have, and that's why the verbal abuse gets gotten away with so much, because they're not physically.
Absolutely. For a long time, I thought I was. I just thought I was unattractive and unworthy. Like no one would ever want me.
No one else would want me. Right. That's the feeling.
And so when he would say the things that he would say, I just did not connect, because it's not something that is normally connected to abuse. So, but it emotionally scarred me. Yeah. It made me unavailable to anybody who was trying to love me. As a matter of fact, it took me a long time to even just get to the place where I was able to begin to show my husband love. Because love for me looked very different. Right. It looked very different. And then my dad, he was we considered him a great dad, but he was an awful husband. And so I just never put it together. Like I never seen him hit my mom or anything like that. Yeah. But we did see all of the negative things that he did, and just not realizing that we were subjected to that. And because it's not a norm, I don't think, even as a parent, that you would even think that you have to protect your child from that. Right. And so there's a lot of people right now who are really going through these isolation type of places where they isolate themselves because they don't want someone to know what's going on. Exactly. Or they're afraid to tell somebody because they don't feel like they should be the one, like they did. You're right, like they did something wrong. So tell me, and I know we're having a conversation, but can you just kind of tell us a little bit more of what was that emotional thing that you experienced and said, I got to stay in this because this is.
Well, actually, I even got in that relationship. My husband had got killed. Just, we were together literally every day. So for me, it was loneliness, wanting, just basically missing him and just in the relationship. So I think I kind of got into it in grief.
Okay.
And then when he was being abusive, I'm like, no, we ain't doing that. But in my grief, I was like, well, I still want to be alone. So, and then I guess, I just woke up and I'm like, you know what? Hey, we don't get beat up. No, what are you doing that? So I just, I don't know what it was really. Just, I fought back, because, I've seen a lot of, I think when couples are together, as women, sometimes we want to stay married, stay in the relationship for our children. And sometimes that's not always good. It's not always good. We have the persona that this marriage is okay. I want my children to grow up in a 2-parent home, all that stuff. And sometimes it can do more harm to the children staying with him and taking that abuse and whatever's going on in that marriage instead of showing your children, hey, stand up for yourself. It's okay. And we're going to be okay.
Yeah, I think you're right. I never thought about that.
Mm-hmm.
You're right. You're absolutely right. A lot of times we do stay in it because of our
We stay up because of our children.
We don't want our
to set an
children to be
example.
without a father.
Exactly.
Right?
We're trying to set an example, but we're not realizing that in a way it's really not a good example.
That's true.
Because because we have children or we were married, if the marriage is not working, we got to think about kids first.
Yeah.
I
knew that the relationship I was in was not healthy because I only dealt with him when my children were in Texas.
Oh, okay.
And then when my children would come home, I would never deal with him when my children were around. So when they were at school, I would allow him to come over, but I never allowed my children to meet him. And it's crazy because you would think, since I knew that enough to do that, that I would connect that to abuse and be able to separate. But I think, like you just want somebody to love you, So you just grow and you think you're unlovable, and you think you're unattractive,
and you think nobody else wants me. I will stay with him.
Yeah,
no one interested. Yeah, and that's just it's just not true. It's just not true. It's just not true. You are loved. We are loved. We don't deserve that as women. No one deserves it, men or women. And we got to speak out and stick up for ourselves. Because unfortunately, I think the issue too is men, like you said, someone needs to advocate for them too, because men are abusive because of what they've seen their fathers do. So here we go with this generational thing again.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
We was talking about that earlier.
Yeah. So it just, my dad did it, kept my mama in line, so this is what I got to do. That's not true. Not true at all.
We definitely have to change the narrative. Mary said, amen. By the grace of God, I will be okay.
Yes,
abuse in any way is not okay.
That's
Thank you for joining us, Mary. We miss you guys. I remember one morning I woke up and I was like, you know what? I just don't like this guy. I don't.
How was I even interested to begin with? Yeah, it makes you question yourself.
Look, and I remember we were in my room. I'll never forget this. We were in my room, and my kids were in Texas with my grandmother, and we were in my room, and he was wanting to wrestle, and I don't do that. I don't do that because I think it leads to other things.
Yeah.
And so to each his own is just not something I choose to partake in.
Right.
And I remember saying to him, I don't wrestle because a lot of times you don't know when to stop. And so there's a line that gets crossed.
It's very thin
line that gets crossed.
Yes.
I don't like that. So I don't want to that line to, because I didn't connect the verbal abuse, right? The emotional abuse.
Right.
But the physical abuse.
Yeah.
I knew that was abuse.
You were aware of that.
We're not gonna do that.
Right.
And I remember him taking my hands and holding my arms down and taking a hand like and touch, kind of playing like he's slapping me, and then put me back down real quick. And he did that for about 5 minutes. And I remember thinking, yeah, you think this is a game. And this is not a game, and I'm not going to play this game with you.
Right.
So yeah, and that was my last time he would call. I'm like, I'm not taking his phone calls, right? That's when you had caller ID on your phone.
Right.
We didn't have cell phones, but we did have caller ID on our phones. And I remember picking up the phone and seeing him. I'm like, no, I'm not talking to him.
Right.
But it was something about the physical abuse that gave me the strength to say, this is not going to get started. But something about the verbal abuse and the mental and the emotional abuse that I couldn't see was doing more damage. Because I took that scar of being mentally and emotionally abused, I took that into my next relationship.
Yes.
And so I mean, that poor guy couldn't do nothing right.
Right. And it's messed up because the person that comes along, they may genuinely love you and care for you and want it, but you don't know how to receive that because all you've just been disappointed. So you don't want to put yourself out there anymore. You're a little, what they say, gun shy. Like, yeah, no, I'm okay.
Mary said at some point the chain of abuse has to be broken. Yes. I love you, my sister, and I miss being there. Oh, I love you too, mamas. Mental abuse can be more damaging. You're right, Mary. That's what one of the things we've been talking about is how the mental and the emotional scars stayed with me. And I didn't even realize that was abuse. Until now, later in life, now that I'm an advocate, now that I'm working with people, and I've had the wonderful opportunity to pastor men and women for 17 years and have to walk through these type of dynamics with them, that I realize emotional abuse, this whole domestic violence just comes in so many different forms, right? You think it only looks one way, but it's so many different forms that it comes in. Right. And it's damaging.
It is.
People
are married in abusive relationships, sexually abused, just taking it when they want to, or just, people, they think that, because we're married, it's not rape. Yes, it is. No means no. Yeah. Period.
No means no.
No means no. Married or not.
We just talked a couple of weeks ago about Jeffrey and his saying, how Pastor Jeffrey and I was talking about, no is a complete sentence. It's not funny, but no means no.
No means no.
And it's okay to say no. No, I'm not taking it anymore. Right. No, you can't talk to me like that anymore. Right. No, you can't talk down to me anymore. No, you can't hit me anymore. No, you cannot. You can't isolate me from my family anymore. No. I remember this young man, the one I went through the verbal abuse with. That was one of the things that he never wanted to meet my family.
Wow.
Right. Which I didn't mind because I didn't want him to meet my kids. Right. But I did want my mom and my dad to meet him. I don't know why, but I did. And I can't say it was some magical thing about it, right? I just did not, I don't know. I just wanted my parents to meet him, but he did not want to meet my family. He didn't want to meet my siblings. He did not want to meet my family. And I should have known then that something was wrong since he wanted to have like this isolated relationship. But I was so damaged. I was so damaged that anybody who came along, it didn't matter. I was so damaged that I would have jumped for it anyway. I just encourage you, anybody who is going through any type of abuse, no matter what type of abuse it is, that you realize that it's not okay. And get some help. There are places, 211, and they will help find some place. 911 is a good number to call.
Right.
But get out, tell somebody.
Right.
Tell somebody.
Right.
That was the other thing, is I never told anybody that how this man talked to me.
Yeah.
And when my friends would come over, which was his friends, they weren't really my friends.
But,
when they would come over, I would chalk him up like he was this great guy, right?
Oh, wow. As soon as they leave, he's talking smack.
Talking crazy,
Yeah.
like. And I remember one time he called me the B word, and I don't know why. I just started laughing. Like, I just started laughing, and I was beating myself up because there was a time no one would have been able to say that to me and get away with it. I don't care who you are.
Right.
And he said it, and I laughed it off. And
really?
Which should have been a sign, Lynn, you're emotionally being abused. And but yeah, just I remember that. I remember that very vividly. We had been drinking.
Okay.
that what they call a liquid courage.
Right, yeah. Definitely.
Liquid courage that will help you say some stuff that you normally wouldn't say. Well, he probably would have said it. But we had been drinking, and his friends had been over, we had been partying, and after they left, he was just really, he was drunk.
Yeah.
And I was saying, just go ahead and lay down. I'll lay on the couch. You can lay, in the room like that. And he started calling me on the night. And I remember just kind of brushing it off, and as if he didn't say anything. And then the next morning getting up and, acting as if everything is okay.
Like it never happened.
And like it never happened. And I think that we do fool ourselves into thinking that that's what love looks like.
Well, that's just part of the relationship.
It's part of the relationship.
Yeah.
And with my dad being in and out, I realize now that what I was really looking for was somebody to replace my dad, to be there. And so however that looked, it was okay with me. Yeah. Until he thought that physical fighting was plain, that wrestling was okay. And then I was done there. Right. But Monique says that there is abuse that we do to ourselves. Yeah,
that's very true, Miss Monique.
Yeah,
that is very
true.
That is true. We have to take responsibility for ourselves as well.
We got real quiet.
Yeah, we quiet.
Okay.
Well,
there is.
Okay, Miss Monique, we heard
you. Yeah, I think we do some abuse to ourselves.
Yeah.
Our addictions.
Yeah.
We hurt ourselves. Yeah, thank you, Monique, for tripping us up.
Yeah, now I'm dumbfounded. Now I don't know what to say. See why you should be here with us.
But it's definitely different than someone else abusing you. And I think because we do, and I think that she has a great point. I think because we do hurt ourselves and we inflict so much pain on ourselves, and sometimes other people inflicting pains is very unnoticeable. Because we're already in pain. We're already beating ourselves up. We're already abusing ourselves. So you're right. I think at times it could go unnoticed when it's coming from someone else.
Right.
But this is a really heavy topic, and it's a relevant topic because it is a topic that we are experiencing on a daily.
Like it's happening right now. Unfortunately, right now someone is being abused. And this is very relevant today, like as of October 14th, 2022, is happening.
Yeah.
So, and I get the abuse of myself because I deal with depression, and food is my comfort. So I was, it's crazy. I tell you, I listened to the Christian station, Caleb, and someone had called in and said that she was thankful to God for helping her with her addiction to food. And she had lost 50 pounds. So she said my addiction was with food, and I'm just really thankful to God for that because that's an addiction, and that I can relate because I would get depressed. I would eat and be just in my comfort, and I don't want nobody around, so I can just eat, and then I get depressed about eating. So now I don't want to get dressed. I don't want to go anywhere because now I got to find something to wear, something that looks right. I don't like it, and it's like
because you don't want to show your rugs.
Because I don't want to show I don't want to sit down because now it's gonna sit with me. So that's me abusing myself every day.
You know that.
I'm working on it.
The thing is a lot of times that is how we deal with it.
I do. I get something to eat. Find me the program in the house. I'm good.
Yeah, I have heard women say that they purposely eat. One, because they're depressed, but they intentionally overeat and gain weight, hoping that the attraction somehow would subside and cause their loved ones to just leave, the one who's abusing them to leave. And we handle it in so many different ways, and I know that it left me depressed. Now, I don't believe they had fruit snacks back then, but if they did, that probably would be the thing that I would be munching on, is the fruit snacks, because that's my addiction, y'all. I have to tell the truth. When I'm in that place, I will get my fruit snacks and I will eat listen, I can kill a box by myself.
Now you sound like my daughter. Mama, did she get some fruit snacks? She loves the Gushers.
No.
She goes through a box of Gushers and a good girl.
Only Welch's for me.
Oh, okay.
Only Welch's.
I like
for
Welch's
me.
too.
If you buy me fruit snacks, buy the Welch's one in the blue box, okay? But no, on a real, it's not funny.
It's not at all.
But we have to laugh sometimes to keep from crying.
Right.
Just
exactly.
to navigate through life sometimes. Laughter is good for the soul.
Yes, it is.
But I do think that we do handle it in so many different ways. And some of us handle it with addictions with alcohol or drugs. And some of us, we get depressed and we eat just so we can escape from the realities of what we're in. And I just want to encourage whomever may be going through it, I just want to encourage you to get somebody, sit them down and just tell them what's going on. Get you a sisterhood that you can talk to that can help you walk through this process. I know we don't think that law enforcement helps, but alert them and let them know what's going on so that if something does happen, they are aware of the history. My prayer is that you would get out.
Yes.
You don't deserve it. No, you're not a punching bag. You're not a footstool for anybody. Right. You're not a doormat. You are a human being. You are a child of God, and you deserve to be treated as such. That's right. You deserve to be loved. And I would even say that praying for the one who's been abused, who is the abuser, because they probably saw it in their house, and they don't know how to navigate through life any differently. And I know we don't really want to talk about that. We don't really want to talk about how we need to get them some help. But if we don't, they move from this person to the next person.
Right. When this relationship's over, they're over there hitting on somebody else. Or they're hitting on somebody else until they finally either go to jail or somebody's family member gets involved. Because that has happened as well. And that's crazy too, because in that relationship, I would never tell my brothers. They would kill it. I don't want to see my brother in jail because they would really try and hurt. So that's what helps keep the abuse in too. I think that's this is part of why I didn't, because I know my brothers, and if they knew that, they'd have a fit. They would have not accepted that. They would have not. I've never really I don't go get my brothers. I don't brag. I don't do that. Yeah, because I don't want anybody to be hurt. So I think that's part of it too. We don't tell our family in fear of what they may do, or I think sometimes we don't tell our families because of that.
Yeah, and I think too, you feel like you have nowhere else to go. So if you come from a dysfunctional family.
Right.
If you come from a family that's not close knit, you tend to think that this is your only option. And
like you don't have anybody.
Yeah,
It's
you don't have
definitely
anybody, so you stay in it, and that's not true. You know, you can create a village. You can reach out to someone, get to, and I know this is not a church scene, but get to a church and try to connect with someone who can help you find the resources that you need. Our desire is that you get help. And we know that even though somebody is being abused right now, you can change the narrative of your life.
That's right.
You can change your situation. You can seek for help. And trust me, God will send somebody to help you.
Absolutely.
I just this conversation just breaks my heart. Because you just don't want to think about that kind of stuff.
It kind of just brings up.
Why you gotta pull one of the hard ones? How come you couldn't pull?
You said I couldn't
something?
look. If I'd have looked, I wouldn't have picked that. I'd be like, no, not today. We ain't doing it today. Let's get a happy topic.
So let's talk about not just domestic violence from a man, from a spouse or a partner, but what about amongst family, like brothers and sisters, siblings?
Yeah.
I mean, we seem to only want to limit it to this
The
set,
partner
but
or the
what about other there is domestic abuse and domestic violence among siblings as well.
And that's crazy. That's a
or just relatives.
This relatives period. I have a niece. I can say we haven't always got along. And the way she was talking to me, it was like somebody on the street. And all I could think was, first of all, I've never had an aunt I was ever that angry with. I would never threaten an aunt of mine. I just didn't like that. And this is a niece that I had practically helped raise. So that's why it was more hurtful,
Yeah.
for someone that I literally helped raise, and you speak to me like that.
Yeah.
So it happens within our families.
Yeah, we call them bullies though. We say he's the bully of the family, right? Or she's the bully of the family. Right. We don't say that they're abusing us. We say that they, it's funny because my cousin, I was talking to her when we were little, we used to always play church. Always. But then sometimes we would play family. And so she said, I don't remember this to this day. I literally keep trying to wrap my mind to remember this. And she said, cousin, do you remember when you was babysitting us? No, because we're about the same age. I don't remember babysitting. And she said, do you remember when you would spank us? What? So she was saying that her siblings remember. I literally do not. Now, I'm not saying I didn't, because I was bad as homemade chicken. I probably was a little bully back then in our family. I probably was the aggressor. I was the aggressor of all of us. But I really don't remember that. And if I did, it probably was more like a game or something to me. And so I have been racking my brain trying to remember that. But the thing is, obviously, it was something that traumatized them because they still remember it.
Wow.
Now, I'm not going to say how old I am, but I'm older than them. But they're in their 50s. But it's amazing how we don't see that type of stuff as a domestic issue.
Right.
And it is a domestic issue.
Do you think that came from something that you saw?
Well, we always got whoopings.
Yeah.
So
yeah.
it wasn't out of the norm.
Yeah.
And so I think maybe because we played so much, it might have been. I don't know. I don't know, but I have been racking my brain. So listen, I just want to say I'm sorry because I did not mean to abuse y'all. I love these are my favorite cousins. Some of my favorite cousins. I don't want to ever say that they're just my only favorite, but they are some of my favorite cousins, and I love them to death. And I just the thought that I may have inflicted pain on them bothers me. And when we think about the domestic violence being amongst siblings and just amongst close-knit family, and how we have labeled this as they're just the bully of the house, right? They're just a bully, but everybody's scared of them.
Right.
Everybody is afraid of what they might. I hope they wasn't afraid of me.
I'm sitting here thinking like, who would be called the bully in the family?
But you know, it happens all the time. I hear all the time from people where the older brother beat them or would beat them up and take stuff from them, and they would be afraid to tell the parents because they would threaten them, or the older sister would do it, and so we just don't really know, and so we have to open our eyes and see differently what domestic violence looks like.
Because it's a lot of different ways.
Yeah.
It's a lot.
It is a lot.
Like you said, when you hear domestic violence, first thing you think of is being hit. But it goes so much farther. It's a whole realm of a variety of abuse. And
I tell you, if you are being emotionally abused, if mentally abused, physically abused, you need to get help. And if you're being spiritually abused, there are abuse, that type of abuse lies among us Christians as well.
That's
and we use it to abuse one another, unfortunately. So, if you are experiencing that, we do ask that you go and get help. And I am so sorry that my guest, whom I love so much, that she chose this heavy topic for us to talk about. But it is a topic that we need to talk about. It's a topic that we need to be aware of and that we need to take more seriously. And I would say, even to law enforcement, when they speak, listen.
please.
When they speak, listen.
Please.
It's not always about the marks on them. Sometimes the emotional abuse, the mental abuse leads to the physical abuse. And if we can be proactive, why not be proactive?
That's right.
So ladies, men, children, if you are being abused, speak up.
Please speak up.
Your voice needs to be heard. Wow.
The time?
I was
sorry.
We have about 5 more minutes. Because I want to make sure that we don't go. I'm trying to be very considerate of time.
Okay.
Since everybody wants to tell me I'm late all the time, I try to be very considerate.
Hey, other people's time. That's very considerate.
Listen, if you have any questions, if you have any comments, we want to hear from you. We want you to talk to us and tell us what you're thinking. If you are in a position and you need help, listen. All you have to do is put it in the comments and we will make sure somebody gets to you. We are concerned about you and we love you. And as a sisterhood, our desire is to make sure that we stand with all of our sisters, And so it's important to us that we make sure that our sisters get the help they need, and our brothers get the help that they need, and our children get the help that they need, because it is a ripple effect.
Yes.
If you don't stop it now, it will carry on for generations. And one of the things that Christina said earlier is that generational thing has to stop.
It's got to stop.
It's got to stop. We got to stop calling it something else, and we got to start calling it what it is.
Start calling them out. Just call them out. It is what it is. If it's peanut butter, it's peanut butter. If it looks like peanut butter, walks like a duck, it looks like it's a duck. You
No, it's a. I thought if it cracks like a duck, it's a duck.
I know some would crack one of them. It's a duck. It's a duck. Either way, it's a duck. Either way, it's a duck, okay?
Either way, it's a duck. Listen, we do thank you guys for joining us, and we want to make sure that if you need help, please contact us so we can get you connected to someone. Inbox us so we can get you connected to someone. Inbox Pastor Lynne's page, and it will come directly to me. And I will do everything I can to get you connected with someone who can help you. I don't care where you are. I don't care. You go California, Texas, Arizona, it don't matter where you are. We will work at trying to get you some help. You can always call 211, who is always a number that has available resources to help you find some help. 911, we all know the 911. Weave. Please reach out to Weave within your town or your location, wherever you're located, to get some help. There are so many places that we can contact to get you the help that you need. You are worth it. Choose yourself.
Yes.
Choose you. And you've been choosing everyone else. It's time to choose you.
Amen.
Any last comments? What would you want to leave with these women and men and children?
I will leave them with just be well. Like Pastor says, choose you. You are loved. There is help, and you are not alone in this. Okay, you're not alone. There are other people, and if you say something, that's how you can get the help. We don't know unless you say something. Yeah.
So speak out. Speak out. We know it's hard, but speak out.
That'll be on your road to recovery.
Yep.
That'll be your road to recovery.
The first step.
That's the first step.
First step is to choose you. Second step is to speak out. Reach out. Let someone know what's going on and get some help. Again, we want to thank you guys for joining us.
Thank you.
Oh, I hate when we run out of time.
This
really
goes by
getting good. I know, right?
That's the fastest. Well, like a month. What's that? Like a month.
Listen, we want to thank our guests for being here with us today. Christina, thank you so much for being here.
Thank you.
Oh, you're so sweet. And again, my sisters, we miss you. April, Joelle, Monique, and Mary, we miss you guys. We love you so much. But take this time for some self-care and take care of you.
Definitely.
Enjoy your time. But a couple of things before we go. We want to make sure that we inform you that if you have a business and you would like us to do a shout out, please let us know. Inbox me your information. I will get in contact with you so that we can give you a shout out for your business. We want to see you succeed. As sisters, it's not just about us, it's about all of us collectively. So if you have a business, if you have a ministry, whatever it is, please let us know so we can give you a shout out during our spotlight time.
Awesome.
The one I went, oh God, I don't have her book in front of me. If you guys get a chance, Yasmin Lujan, please go get her book. You will not be disappointed. My story for his glory.
Okay.
My story for his glory. It is a story about her overcoming being sex trafficked, and she is now an evangelist. She is a powerful woman of God. She goes throughout I want to say this United States, just sharing her story to help other women get out of being sex trafficked. So please read her story. You will not be disappointed. You will not be disappointed. We will be interviewing her tomorrow on our Transform Trauma page.
Awesome.
All you have to do is go on and ask to be invited in, and we will invite you in. We will be interviewing her at 12 o'clock. You do not want to miss her story and how she navigated through and the pointers that she has to help you get through whatever circumstances that you may be going through with sexual abuse. So that is Yasmin. I love her to death, and I want to see her successful. Get her book.
I want the book.
His glory, my
like
story for His glory. It is a awesome read. It's a short read, but very, very powerful. You will not be disappointed. Catch us tomorrow at 12 o'clock on our Transform Trauma page. If you would like to be a part of our mailing list so that you can get a notification of all of the things that we are doing, please drop your email into our inbox, or you can even put it in the chat if you like. And we will add you to our email list, and every week you will get updates on what's going on with the Lynne Herring Ministries. We do have a 3-day workshop that's coming up. We don't have a date yet. We are still working on a date, but it is the power of reaching back. It is a mentoring workshop that is for 3 days, and that newsletter will actually help you keep up with when that's going to be, and the cost and all of the workshop leaders, everything that's going to be going with that. So please, if you want to be a part of our mailing list, please drop your email in or inbox me your email, and we will have you added to our list so that you can be updated on what is going on. And my last thing is, please follow, as we will be doing some excerpts for my up and coming book. Woohoo! Excited. Hopefully it will be up and published and run on I'm hoping in everybody's stores, right?
Yes, everybody's claiming that now. All the stores.
All of it, right? In the name of Jesus. It is called Transform Trauma, Moving from Pain to Celebration.
Amen. Yes.
Transform Trauma, Moving from Pain to Celebration. It is a memoir of my story of child molestation, moving on to adult sexual abuse, and how I navigated through it. So it is a memoir with steps on how you can also navigate through it. So please be ready and looking for that. We will be doing some excerpts on that, and that also will be in the newsletter. So if you want to be up on that, you want to be notified, please make sure that you put your name and your email address in the chat or inboxes, and we will get you on that, and we will get you started. So again, we want to thank you for joining us. I know this conversation was heavy, but please, if you are in need of help, let us know. We want to help you to get to a place that is safe for you and your children. Until we meet again in 2 weeks, guys, we thank you. We love you. We'll see you in 2 weeks.
2 weeks.
2 weeks. Peace, guys. Love you.